Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we figure out how to build and run a SaaS. I'm Brian.
And I'm Benedict. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we work on our products and keep the lights on by joining a circus. Today is October 20th, and I'm still feeling stressed.
This is episode number 63, and I am feeling exhausted. So I think you were stressed last week too. Is that
thinking about it? Maybe I was
right?
well rested. I don't.
Or was it?
Well, last week I was back to work. But
That's right.
Like since then,
The
it's
week
been like stressful. We'll get into this.
What? Yeah. Let's hear it. What do you
Well,
got?
let's first applaud you to the achievement of doing a backflip on the trampoline.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's a big one, especially without breaking any legs or arms or crushing your head in or something like that.
Didn't break a thing. My ankles and knees are in great shape. My middle daughter, she's 10, so she did gymnastics when she was like 4 and 5, and then again when she was 6, and or maybe like 7 or 8, whatever. But now she's back in, and taking it a bit more serious, able to do these pretty, like pretty awesome, front hand springs and things like that. And I was like, oh, hey, I'll start, doing that with you. That could be fun. And so we were jumping on the trampoline, and I was like, I am finally going to learn to do a backflip. I've never done one in my life. Had a trampoline growing up, front flips, easy peasy, flipping around like a little kid does, all that for sure. But I never learned how to do a backflip. And so over the weekend, or whenever that was, when was it? I was like, I'm finally going to do it. So I watched a YouTube video on, how to work yourself up to it, and went for it. And it felt awesome. It was great.
How many tries did it take before you got it right?
Well, I mean, there's like, there's a handful of, steps that you can do to work up to it. And I think he had like 5 or 6, and I had the first 3 down, because I've always been able to do those things. So I think probably like a good 5 or 10 minutes of working through those other steps, and then 3 or 4 false, or you're like, okay, here it is, and nope, I just went sideways. Here it is, nope, I just fell on my back, and then finally went for it, landed it, and was like, was that it? My daughter was like, you did it. Oh my gosh, it was awesome.
That sounds like fun.
It was really, really fun. So now I just got to keep practicing it so that I don't have to work up to it. Just get up there, warm up the legs, and boom, nail a backflip.
Nice.
So
do you have does your trampoline have like a net around it or something like that?
Yeah, it does. It does.
It
has.
I guess that makes it a lot safer.
Yeah, totally. Growing up, did you have a trampoline growing up?
Let me think. I don't think there was one in the house at some point, but like a really small one, like maybe a meter or so in diameter.
Okay,
so
yeah, one of those
super small one.
Right.
Don't want to you might want to do a backflip on them, but not for practice. Not trying to figure out how to do one on those small things.
Yeah. Now so our trampoline growing up, like they didn't have these nets on them. Like they all are basically required to now. And I fell off that thing a number of times. But my bones are not as limber today as they used to be. And so I'm grateful for the net. It was pretty funny. We were, I was getting ready to go for it, and my daughter was like, Dad, be careful, you're 40. I was like, Charlotte, age is just a number. And she goes, yeah, it's the number of years your body's been alive. I was like, okay. That's fair. Anyway, let's see. So that's if all this goes to heck, then I'll join a circus at 40 and figure.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, it's a great plan. How are you?
Is new?
Oh, we'll get to my stuff in a little bit. I'm feeling pretty burnt out work wise, so we'll get to that in a little bit. You were saying you've had a busy week, good demo right before this one, and right
Yeah,
before this
yeah,
call, and a few more to go.
yeah. Three more calls today. It's Tuesday. It feels like Tuesday is my calls day. And I mean, yeah, we're deliberately planning it like basically Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days where all our calls are. So that makes them exhausting, but also the other days are kind of call free for the most part.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's
Probably a good way
one
to
way to
frame
keep
that,
us, yeah, one
yeah.
way to keep us sane. Oh yeah, since last week, basically was a super busy week with a bunch of like small tasks. I feel like I've been jumping between responsibilities and between contexts and working on marketing, working on SEO, working on the product, like a little bit of everything. Um, which was nice in the sense of like I was able to like check a lot of like small tasks off, and like last we have like a document in Notion where we plan out the action items for the week, and last week it was like 30 items or so on there, so a really long list,
Yeah,
but we got
yeah.
to all through almost all of them, so that was nice. But also, yeah, um, resulted in other fun things that I'll get to in a bit. Um, what what we did last week, one of those things that is, yeah, something you didn't think about when you did it in the first place, but or I didn't think about. A couple of months ago, we launched our website, and it had a new pricing page. And on that
Yep.
pricing page, there is a FAQ section.
Mhm.
And one of those items in the FAQ section is about our $9 um,
A
startup
month plan,
plan, like,
which you
yeah,
no
something like that.
longer which you're
Which
no longer
we
doing.
which we're still doing it, but we're not heavily promoting it anymore. So
Got
it's
it.
not in the pricing grid anymore. But if someone like has less than 100 users and they feel like they can't afford like the basic plan, they can reach out to us and they will get to that plan. But if you sign up by default without reaching out to us, you start on the $49 plan. The thing is, when you were searching for user list pricing or user list plans in Google, Google would pull up exactly the snippet with the $9 per month plan. So when you did user
Nice.
list pricing, it was like user list has a starter plan starting at $9 per month. And we had a call with Einar about our metrics a couple, I think 2 weeks ago, and of course he was the one to discover this. Um, so why is your MRR not growing? Hey, maybe it's because the thing in the Google search results, which probably wasn't the case. But yeah, still isn't the best thing to start with, and then
Well, yeah, I mean,
having
if somebody does search
yeah,
for that and then lands there, there's no continuity
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
confusing. Yeah.
It's only adding confusion. So I found a way to tell Google to ignore certain parts of the page for the
Hmm.
snippet. Looks like apparently, and deployed that yesterday, and it seems to be working. There's you can add a data dash no snippet attribute to an element,
Huh.
and that will basically filter it out. So that's what I did for that one section. I told Google, hey, whatever's in
Won't
there,
pull this.
don't don't
Interesting.
don't pull this up. So that was one of the things I did. We also signed up for a free Ahrefs account last week. They recently started doing what are they calling it, Ahrefs Webmaster Tools or something like that, which is basically a
Okay.
free version of their product.
Huh. I did not see this happen. Check this out.
It's
Cool.
pretty cool. From what I heard from paying customers, they the launch didn't go so well for them. At least
Oh,
they
it's
pissed off some of. I mean, I don't know the full details. I don't know like of a handful of users complaining. But apparently they leading up to this, they were like in their private Facebook group, like building hype around it. Hey, we're launching something really cool. And then they launched this and was basically a free plan, and all the people in the Facebook group were paying users.
oh,
So they were not as excited
no.
as you hoped to.
No, you wouldn't be.
um, which is, I mean, not saying this was a bad mistake on their side, but it's something to keep in mind, I guess, for for future
Great
promotions
use
that
of it.
we run ourselves. So there's something to learn from it. But I think, like, I mean, at least it made me sign up for
Hmm.
the free account. We had been thinking about getting a paid account, but one of the reasons why we didn't was that there's so much stuff in the paid version that
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sure
a
that
little
I'm
overwhelming?
paying way more than I'd get value out of, at least in the start. So the free
Yeah.
plan totally made sense. Like, sign up and then try to understand what you get in the free plan. And once you're not satisfied with that information anymore, then upgrade to the paid plan. Because yeah, like,
Mhm.
even the free plan is super powerful. What I did last week was basically run a site audit where they scroll your website and then surface all the potential problems. Um, and that's included in the free plan, and was able to fix a bunch of stuff, and that's already nice. But they also show you the backlinks you're getting, the domains that are referring to you, allow you to track like how those evolve over time, and that's, I mean, at this stage, that's all I need.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like the more fancy stuff like the keyword research tool and things like that, those are, you have to upgrade to the paid plan for those. But I feel like there's plenty of stuff to learn and explore just on the free tool. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm doing on and off since last week.
Nice. Well, and it seems like a pretty smart marketing play for them is
Oh, absolutely.
give
Like,
you all these things,
yeah,
check, 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 check. Okay, done. What's next? Well, upgrade.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it feels way less
yeah.
overwhelming than going from what, nothing to $100 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
And
yeah.
then and then only using like
Yeah,
10%
exactly.
because you can't wrap your head around the rest of it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think it's a smart move on their side. They definitely, well, they got my sign up from it. And I have a
Well, they might get
suspicion that
mine as
we might,
well. Yeah.
I have a suspicion that we might upgrade to a paid plan sometime in the near future. But I mean, as I said, there's still
Yeah.
plenty to discover in
Plenty
the free version.
plenty to do for now. Cool.
So yeah, that was one of the smaller things we did. We also fixed the queuing issue. I think I talked a bit about the problem last week, and also a little bit about the fix that I was starting to implement. But turns out what I did last week until until the recording basically worked. So we split up our background workers to be run on more dynos on in Heroku. So it's like now there's an entire process just dedicated to critical stuff.
Hmm.
So even if like all the queues are backed up, there's still like the important stuff still has a dedicated resource that is able to just process everything that's super fast and super important and super quick without being slowed down by any low priority long running stuff.
Yeah.
And that already solved most of the problems,
Mhm.
because then before that, like, everything was kind of slow, and after that change, only the expected to be slow stuff was slow. So
Yeah.
that's
That's
fair. I
that's
mean,
great.
yeah.
That sounds like good design.
um that's that was definitely an improvement. We also introduced rate limiting for the
I was
push
gonna ask.
API.
Okay.
And I
How'd
think
that
I
go?
talked about this last week as well.
You said you were
Um,
thinking about it, I
Thinking about
think,
it,
but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we basically pulled the trigger on this and added it. It was only this one customer who was like really pushing it.
Yeah,
um,
but
yeah, they were sending like 3,000 requests to that endpoint per minute,
mhm,
and now it's limited to 1,000. And I think like I talked to them before that. Um, so they scaled it way down even before introducing it. So I made sure they weren't affected by the new rate
yeah.
limit,
Yeah,
basically.
of course.
And now they send like 200 requests per minute, which is totally like, that's totally a rate where the entire system can keep up with things.
Mhm.
So with the new dyno setup and with the rate limiting in place, like nothing is clocked anymore. Like all
Oh,
the queues are basically processed in near real time. So the problem is finally
great.
fixed.
That's awesome, and now, Benedict, you will never run into a scaling issue again, ever.
Yeah, at least not until later today.
Until the next one. No, no, I'm
Yeah.
joking. That's awesome, man. That's good. Sounds like
Yeah, I'm
you're
super glad
in a
at
good
least
place.
that at least that part is fixed. I also last week after our recording, I also had a call with Adam McRae of Rails Autoscale to specifically talk about like our background worker setup.
Mhm.
And he was also one of the people who suggested like splitting things up into multiple process types and multiple dynos. So very thankful for that. And he's also the author of a Heroku extension called Rails Autoscale that we are using to basically what it does is it looks at queue times in like the background queues as well as the web dynos. So when a request takes more than, I don't know, what's the threshold? Well, longer than a certain threshold, um, it will automatically scale up the dynos in Heroku within a certain limit. So it processes stuff faster. And he was kind enough to jump on a call with me and for one talk about the background queues in general, how we're doing things. And also like we jumped into his tool and tweaked a lot of settings to make sure it's more efficient now. And I think like overall we're now with the new setup, we're actually saving money compared to before, because like with the messed up setup, we're basically scaling up workers all the time. Like at least
Yeah, got
like
it.
most of the time things were running at a maximum that I set.
Mhm.
And now with the changes, it's less likely to get stuff. There's the baseline is more like we have like a web dyno, a normal worker dyno, and a critical dyno running now. So it's at least 3 at all times, but it doesn't run at capacity the entire time anymore, and that was the case previously. So yeah, kind of a big improvement.
That's awesome.
Um, so that was that part. Um, so with all that said, this this incident with the customer sending a lot of data. And by the way, this was Simon Bennett of Snapshooter. He gave me permission to mention him by name
Okay.
because what comes next is is the silver lining in all of this. So a couple weeks ago, he started sending a lot of data every hour, and
Okay.
we scaled him down. Things are fine.
Mhm.
Last week on Friday, um, I made a change to the application, basically wrapping up the condition refactoring stuff I've been doing a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago.
Yep. Yep.
Um, that involved like changing the data format of how we store conditions, and I've been using a basically an in-memory transformation. So the format stored in the database was still the old one. When we load it, we would transform it into the new format, and then it would run on the new code. So everything was running for a couple of weeks, all was fine. So I decided, okay,
Yeah.
it's time to
Time
update
to
the storage format. Like
Yep.
just write the new standard to disk. And I did this, I think on Wednesday. And on Friday I decided, okay, I can get rid of like all the stuff that does the transformation because it's essentially not transforming anything anymore. Stuff on the database is what well, basically what the transformation would return. So I removed it, deployed it, didn't think
And
about it for a while.
and
And
everything
suddenly
went fine.
error message starting popping up. Hey, can't
Okay.
evaluate what and what condition. I think, interesting. At this point, I had forgotten about the change I made earlier because I only deployed it on Friday. I had actually implemented earlier than that. So
So you wrote the
I was
code a couple
looking.
days before, you didn't actually
Yes,
deploy it, and so it was not
yes.
immediately on your mind. Got it.
It
Okay.
was not. Yeah, it wasn't immediately on your mind. So I saw the error message and I was like, something's not working with the conditions. Went into the code, tried to fix the problem, deployed that. Conditions were passing again, no errors.
Uh-huh.
And suddenly Simon sends a message, saying something like, "Did user list just shit the bed?" And I'm like,
Oh, dear.
"Oops,
Oh my gosh.
what's going on?" Um, and I immediately stopped everything. Like, went into Heroku, scaled down everything except for the web dynos, because it turns out by making that change, some conditions were returning the wrong results.
Oh
So
man.
what happened was when I updated the stored conditions, I must have messed something up. I didn't quite realize what happened, but it didn't update the stuff that was in the database for all records in the database. I checked a couple when I did this, so I was confident that the update worked, but apparently it didn't. And the moment I removed that transform, like the stored format was invalid, so it didn't translate into valid conditions anymore, which I fixed by changing the way conditions are checked and how they work, which made them work again, but not in the way they were intended to. So instead of like if you had like a condition checking three things, they would only check one thing. And that, of course, caused a lot of more people to match those
Okay.
segments and to match those triggers than initially
Which
anticipated.
starts
And that
sending
caused
tons of
standing
emails.
emails, yeah. And
Yeah.
especially for Simon, who who was really affected by this. I think we sent like over 1,000 emails on his
Oh
behalf within
wow.
within
Oh
5 minutes or
man.
so. Basically telling a bunch of his customers that their trial is running out and they really have to add a credit card and stuff like that. So
Ouch.
it was a hair on fire situation for
Yeah.
real.
Mhm.
And after that, I spent like 2 hours trying to figure out like all of that, what I just said, tried to figure out what was happening. And then basically rolling back the fix I made for the wrong problem, adding back in the transformation, making sure the format is still correct. I think in the end, I ended up doing the transform and storing the new results to disk again because apparently I honestly don't have a
Still
clue
not
what
sure
happened.
how it yeah. Yeah.
I was sure it was the right format, but apparently it wasn't. So now it is for sure. I checked
The
multiple times.
yeah.
But yeah, all of it cost me like 2 hours of trying not to freak out, trying not
It's
to,
a intense
yeah,
stress.
like,
I mean, that is that's the real
yeah,
intense
it was,
situation.
it was
Hundreds or
no,
thousands of
yeah,
things
it
going out
wasn't a
to your
fun
customer's customer.
it wasn't a fun afternoon at all.
Mhm.
Luckily, and that's where hindsight and stuff, only because Simon started to use this weird pattern of sending a lot within a short period of time.
Mhm.
Only because of that, the problem immediately occurred for his account. And as like he's basically the only one doing this. That's why it wasn't handled properly a couple of weeks ago. And that's why he was affected by this immediately. If that weren't the case, sometime at night, like 12 or so hours later, our background jobs would have started reevaluating all segments of all users across all accounts.
Oh.
So
My stomach just turned about 17 flips on your behalf.
yeah, I only realized this on Sunday, reflecting on everything that
Yeah,
happened. But
everything
basically, his weird sending pattern saved my ass big
saved
time.
you. Oh, wow.
So he got like his customers like got like overall, I think it's a little over 1,000 emails.
Okay.
But the next biggest affected account was ourselves with 48 emails sent out, and then the next one was like 40 or so. So except for Simon, who I feel really sorry for, and I
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
deeply apologized a couple of times
Yeah.
by now. He took all the
Took the
well,
brunt of it.
yeah, he took the brunt of it,
Yeah.
and everything else is mostly unaffected. I mean, still a
Mhm.
little bit, but mostly everything is fine.
Yeah.
So what ruined
And I
my
mean, at least he's kind of I mean, you've got a bit of a relationship
he
with him. He's in the
yeah,
community, super cool
he,
guy.
he was super understanding, and I'm
Yeah.
super thankful to have customers like him who
Mhm.
are understanding and allow. I mean, I wouldn't blame him if he like takes his list and just leaves after an instant like this. And I'm super sorry, Simon. I know you're listening to this. I'm really really sorry. Sorry for making your Friday a
Yeah.
hell, because of course, like what happened for him was we sent out those emails, and of course, like all his customers receiving those emails were replying back and like, dude, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not on a trial or whatever the problems were, but his support inbox was exploding that afternoon, and I feel really bad for causing this.
Well, Simon is a super cool guy, and if anybody listening wants to keep your servers safe and not lose your valuable data, schedule frequent backups for your servers, your websites, and your databases, I mean, you should really check out Snapshooter at snapshooter.io. Am I right, Benedict? Am I right?
Absolutely, you should definitely check out Snapshooter. It's honestly, it's a cool product.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're currently not using it because we are using Heroku's built-in backups. But if that wasn't available, I totally use his service because
Yeah. If you're on DigitalOcean,
it's super cool.
which I think is like maybe
Yeah,
the
his
yeah,
it's
his
yeah,
start.
it's built. I think he supports more platforms than this right now, but he definitely started out with
Yeah,
DigitalOcean.
got it.
So cool tool. You'll get some user list emails. Hopefully, not ones that are not intended for
Too
you
many.
anymore. Um, but
What
yeah,
else?
that's
How's how's I got I actually I we we always record right after user lists scheduled marketing emails.
yes,
And so I just saw that you have officially launched the concierge
yeah,
campaign. Talked about it a little
yeah,
bit last week.
yeah, exactly. We launched that today. So far, no replies, but it's only been
Well,
an
I mean,
hour,
it
so
just went out. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we launched it today. We're not running paid ads just yet because we couldn't quite decide on the right visuals and the right
Mhm.
messaging.
Mhm.
So we just launched it on Twitter and on to our mailing list.
Email.
And it
Yep.
basically the offer ended up being we do all the work for you, like do the code changes to integrate user list into your applications,
Mhm.
to either write your emails for an onboarding campaign for you, or if you have like something existing running in a different application, we will figure out how to migrate those into user list.
Cool.
So hands off for free if you have like more than 1,000 users. If you don't have more than 1,000 users in your account, then we still do this, but not for free. We have a 399 price tag, 399 price tag on this. If you have less than 1,000 users and still want to do this, but the intention was incentivize bigger accounts because we feel like we
Companies.
can
Totally.
learn more from them. And honestly, if you only have like 10 accounts or
I
so,
was gonna
then
say, you don't
it's
wanna
probably
be
not worth
yeah.
time and money to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. That's
Um,
totally fair.
but yeah, that launched, and yeah, hopefully I can report back on how things are going next week. Um, yeah, so fingers crossed that this
Cool. Good luck with
will at
that.
least. I mean, it's not about money. I think I said that last week. It's more about learning about potential
Customer
problems people are having.
engagement. Yep.
So yeah, I really hope this works out.
Me too.
Um, and talking about next week's email, plan is to launch our new podcast next week. That is
Nice.
basically done. I think 2 episodes are done with editing and a recap and stuff like that. So we have all that
Mhm.
in place. We're working on the new landing page or the website for the podcast later this week, and then we'll, if things work out, launch it on Tuesday.
Mhm.
So that will be exciting too.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah,
Awesome.
as I said, lots of stuff happening. Some nice stuff and some not so nice stuff. Um, but I guess that's
Funny.
that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's
yeah. What's up with you? There's been like looking at the notes. There's stuff happening in your life as well.
well, a little bit. I mean, kinda. Um, tons of stuff happening on your side. Uh, meanwhile, I feel like over here I'm just wandering around in the desert. Um, and I yeah, man. I am I am just really truly experiencing burnout.
Mm.
and, um, spent, a little try to spend a little bit of time, really understanding or trying anyway to understand it. Is what I mean, is this burnout? Is it something else? And, like, you know, thing after thing after thing after thing I look at is like just symptoms, check, check, check. Difficulty concentrating, lack of creativity, irritability, forgetfulness, grinding teeth at night. Like I wake up and my jaws are sore all the time. Self-doubt for sure. Desire to drop out of society. I think I've even said that here a few times where I'm just like, "Oh man, I just want to I just need to disappear for a little while and then I'll be back." Um, and so it's just thing after thing feels like, yeah, I am I am burned out here and not able yeah, I'm not even sure what sort of language to use about it in terms of like not able. But just totally ineffective at being able to tap in to the sort of just creative energy and internal drive that I have had for pretty much as long as I can remember. Um, and I just don't have it right now.
Mhm.
So I'm yeah, I'm kinda stumped. I'm stumped. Um, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was having a conversation with somebody, online, and I was saying, I you know, it doesn't feel like the sort of thing that you just can grind your way through. It's like having a broken ankle on, 2/3 of the way through a marathon and somebody just being like, "Just grind it out, you'll get there." I'm like, well, with permanent damage to my ankle, probably, yeah. What I need a stretcher. I need to lay down and get out of this race and then rehab and sign up for the next one.
Yeah.
Uh, Practically speaking, Benedict, like, I have absolutely no idea what that looks like. You know, if the metaphor is, "Okay, I'm hurt. I gotta pop out of this race, and I'm gonna take a little bit of time off, get this ankle back in shape, and then boom, signing up for the next one." If that's the metaphor, I mean, I don't know what I don't know what that means. It's not like I can be like, you know, firing my client work, pausing my projects, and then I'll see y'all in 6 months. I don't know how that works with a mortgage, health
Yeah.
insurance,
Yeah.
savings. So, that's where I'm at right now, man. I feel stuck and stumped completely.
Yeah. Maybe it's I mean, yeah, as you said, you probably can't get away from like the consulting work.
I mean,
Is there Yeah. Yeah.
not without, you know, considerable, financial implications.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I think you can take a break from Headlamp and from Brand Patrol if you I mean, it sounds like if you take a break on those, I mean, you're not losing anything. Well, not a lot at least.
This is the weird, uh, I don't here's the tension in that is that what I am feeling is just complete lack of meaning in my work and just,
Mhm.
total lack of fulfillment, and if I could do almost anything else right now, I feel like I would, and
Yeah.
so the thing that is, like, sucking the life out of me is not feeling like not being super excited about the projects I'm working on,
Mhm.
on the consulting side of things. And so, on the one hand, yes, what I should do I put my personal projects aside, stop trying to overwhelm myself and do multiple difficult things at once, you know, and just do the consulting work.
Yeah.
That's one approach. But the problem there is, you know, that's not those aren't my
Yeah.
long-term goals. That's not what feeds me creatively and is likely to, like, rejuvenate this part of me that has slowly just withered and died. So,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. You
yeah,
kinda like, you feel like working on
catch.
your own projects is probably the thing that helps you to get out of this,
Yes, exactly.
but the other thing is what feeds you and what
Yes,
provides for your family,
literally
and
feeds me, not feeds me
yeah.
spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's a tough, yeah, I mean, it's,
That
yeah, it's an
welcome to the
impossible choice
basic
to
premise of this
make.
show. Yeah. 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 Well, it feels like that tension is dialed all the way up to 10 right now. I feel as if I have all of my decisions are made under stress right now, and
Mhm.
that is the worst place in the world to be making a decision from. I'm
Yeah.
I feel grateful to at least be able to kinda step, outside and notice that, um, but it it just really feels like I can't just keep pushing. I can't just keep grinding through this. I will get to some breaking point. Um, and I feel like I gotta figure something out. Something's gotta change.
Yeah.
Eh, what were you gonna say?
Does Yeah, I'm thinking about, like, trying to come up with suggestions of what to try. Um, do you think, like, changing the type of consulting work you do would help?
I think it could. I mean, I have tried, repositioning my consulting offerings a handful of times, over the past year, um, and have shared how difficult and largely unsuccessful, each of those repositionings has been to try to, you know, tilt a little bit more towards info products or, publicized pricing and packages. There's just yeah, it has just felt like man, it has just felt like one failure after another, I think. Which then kind of feeds the self-doubt, which makes it difficult to bet on yourself and like your this next like a next push, a next sprint of creativity or development or building something, trying something. Is just this really aggravating voice in the back of your head, in the back of my head, saying, "Well, it's probably not gonna work because of this." Because it's just been like one thing after another. 3 or 4 years ago, it was I could basically do anything I want and I'll figure out a way to make it work. Um, that was the internal voice, was,
Mhm.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard. Probably it'll fail a couple times, but you will figure it out. You always do." That was the voice. The voice now is, I don't know, man. Yeah, that probably isn't gonna work. You peaked a couple years ago, so just live with it." And that's just it just creates this negative reinforcing cycle that
Yeah.
I gotta get out of. I have to. So, couple of things in terms of, okay, so you're burned out. How do you overcome burnout? Um, and take regular breaks during the day, unplug, take long weekends, connect your work to meaning. So, the breaks during the day thing, I feel like I just have to tweak that to say, um, rejuvenating breaks during the day. I definitely take breaks during the day, but it's because I'm like, "Ugh, I don't feel like doing this right now." So, um, find some just like get some distraction. And that just makes you feel worse, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I gotta build in some rejuvenation, totally unplug. That's gonna work out. I'm going back to the Grand Canyon in like, I don't know, like 16 days or something. So for a week. So that'll that'll be
That
nice,
sounds
but
like a good start.
yeah, pretty good start. Um, but it I think it also I think the thing I wanna say, just in case anybody else is like is feeling the same thing or experiencing the same thing, or I'm curious if you have experienced it, and overcome it. What feels completely true is that this is not like, "Oh, I need to take a week off." That's not gonna
Yeah.
fix anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Band-Aid. It's not even a Band-Aid. It's just kicking the can down the road. I really feel like if I could figure out how to take a 4-month or a 6-month sabbatical, I would.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm just
I
tapped.
hear you.
Yeah.
I've been in that place a couple times already. Yeah.
How'd you
Um,
come back?
I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, not entirely sure if I've ever like actually solved that or if I'm just doing a good enough job ignoring it. Like at times I feel like, yeah, just like staying away from everything would be would be nice. Just pulling the plug and just like don't respond to anything for a month or so. That would also already be
Mhm.
nice. And a couple of weeks ago, before the vacation, that was a phase where I was like, yeah, totally. Well, not totally, but like I had phases where I was like, no, I don't. Why does it always have to be me who's responsible for everything and stuff like that? Just be super annoyed with everything and just like kind of want to throw the towel and just leave and check out. But like the vacation helped a little bit to ease that, and overall just trying to not be stressed about it. I mean, as I said, like I feel like I haven't solved it on a deeper level. I'm just like coping with the symptoms, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that overall stress that's always there. That's the hard part to ignore. I don't
Yeah.
have a good answer, as you can probably figure
I
out by me stumbling
well,
around.
no, no, I mean, I think that's what feels different about this compared to other things, like other seasons in my life, where I have had the capacity to cope and just say, "Well, yeah, dude, I mean, sometimes things are stressful." Um, and you just gotta, buckle down for a little bit, and this too shall pass. Um, and it's kinda sucks, but you'll get through it, and, that's how you get through it, is by coping and just putting one foot in front of the other. I've also had periods of serious depression, um, where, I really needed to talk to somebody, like a therapist, and get this stuff out of my head. And,
Yeah,
that felt, I don't feel depressed. I feel chronically stressed, without a way out,
yeah,
and without a belief in a way out. And so those three things feel totally different to me. Just, you know, um, everyday work related stress. It's like class one, and you can cope, make a to do list, grind through it. Depression, deep seated, therapy, get to the bottom of it, talk it through, slow, slow, steady, rejuvenation. I've experienced that. This thing is totally different. Um, this is just a different experience than I've had.
yeah,
And have been feeling this for, handful of months for sure. So, I mean, the state of the world sure as heck doesn't help. And over the weekend here in Boulder County, we currently have the largest wildfire in the history of the state, and then we had 2 brand new wildfires flare up. I mean, our home is under no danger whatsoever, but being able to walk out on the front porch and look at a fire burning in the middle of October. It's just like, what the hell else? What fresh hell do you have for us now, 2020?
Mm.
Um, that it just feels like all these, like, piling on things. I gotta I gotta figure out how to cope, how to come back.
Yeah, yeah.
It feels hard. It feels hard. That's the honest peek into my life right now.
Yeah, I wish I had something wise to say, but I honestly I don't.
No, that's fine. You don't have to. You
I
don't have to.
guess I'm thinking like if there's anything that I try to do if I were in your shoes, and
Mhm.
I'm not entirely sure if that's helpful at all, is maybe think about the like your side projects. Just get rid of the pressure to make them to have like to force them to be successful. Just
Yeah,
I don't know, just
that's good.
do it for fun and don't care about the results. Like
Yeah.
if it works out at some point, that's nice. If it doesn't, so what? Um,
Mhm.
I mean, I have a couple friends who are like always working on side projects and kind of want to make them work and make them into a successful business. And I feel like sometimes it's okay to just be playing in a way, just like
Yes. Totally.
just write that application, enjoy the process of building something cool, even if it will never sell and if nobody will ever care about it. Just like go out and play and have some fun with it and do it for the joy and do it maybe for the learning, but don't stress yourself about making it successful business. And I feel like
Yeah.
once you're okay with that part, it gets well, it removes the guilt of working on it because you're no longer like it, you're no longer telling yourself you have to make this work. It's more like, hey, I'm doing this to enjoy myself. It's like playing a game
Mm,
in a way.
totally.
Um, maybe
Uh,
that maybe that helps. At
I
least
think
get
that
some joy back and like yeah, working on that stuff.
I think that is really wise, and very, very good advice because as you're saying that, it completely rings true because, I think we both put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make user list into this great story, um, to make a headlamp into something that I can do full time. And sharing the whole thing out loud, adds a bit of pressure or
Yeah,
adds something to it. Um, and yeah, it's totally true. I don't do many work related things for fun, at all anymore. So that's really good advice to look at them and as something fun to do rather than I have to make this work. This
yeah,
has to, you know, get to
yeah,
this MRR in this amount of time and da 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 da.
yeah.
That's good
Yeah,
advice.
that's the only thing I can provide as advice or thought on this. Um, Unfortunately, it's not really an option with user list.
I mean, you know, it's there's a little bit of a mind game to play with yourself, like, I'm doing this for fun, which will, you know, if you fully believe that, it will just open up some exciting and different creative things that may or may not work out. Um, so you can do it for fun and it can still be successful.
Well, I mean, that's the part you have to ignore. But of course, like one thought of this is, hey, if you keep just playing with it, maybe at some point it will work. But I think the
Yeah.
danger is in trying to force that
Mm,
success moment, and that, well, of course, if it doesn't work for a couple of months, of course, you get frustrated.
yeah, right,
If you want it
right.
to work, but if you're kind of okay with it not working, then it's probably fine. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, that's that's the next challenge, like convincing yourself you're doing this just for the fun of it.
I should be doing it for the fun of it. You know, Laura and I say all the time, like, working for yourself is only worth it if you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's really freaking stressful. Adds a
Yeah.
lot of freedom,
Yeah.
but it's not
If you're
worth it if it drives bonkers.
Yeah, and if you're not making use of that freedom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
uh, that's also something I realized over the last year or so is having all that freedom isn't worth anything if you're not using it.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's it's harder than it sounds. Like I feel like
Mm.
I spend a lot of time just in here sitting in front of my computer, like just working all day. And
Mhm.
I rarely take a day off. I mean
Mhm.
yes, I go on 3 week vacations, or at least I try to go on 3 week vacations without working, which didn't work out. But
Right.
that's about it. Like I rarely take just an afternoon off or just a morning off or just a random day in the week to do something fun. That basically never happens, which then again makes me question why am I doing this in the first place? Like
For
what's
Oracle again.
yeah,
Yeah.
what's the point? So yeah.
Mm. Okay. Well, that's a good place to end it at what's the
Yeah.
point. So, listeners, y'all know where to find us. What's the point?
Yeah. What's the point?
How are you making use of that freedom? Honestly, how are you making use of that freedom? How is doing something extremely difficult, bootstrapping a business, how are you making that work for you?
Yeah, love to
Cool.
hear how you make it work and what works for you.
All right. Great conversation, man. Enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
it was a fun one. Have a good one. Talk to you next week.
Later.